Welcome to Top Fact Amazing. Polycephaly is a rare condition where an animal is born with two heads. In some cultures, it's seen as a blessing, while others consider it a curse. And if you're playing Fallout, a two-headed cow is practically standard fare. Whatever people think of it, there's one thing we can all agree on: these two-headed animals are truly fascinating. Today, we're diving into the top 10 weirdest two-headed animals. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until number 1, because that entry is twice as adorable. Number 10. Squirt and crush. There have been quite a few cases of two-headed turtles, but most are from smaller species. It's much rarer to see these mutations in larger turtles, so when a baby loggerhead with two heads was discovered just a couple of months ago, it made quite a stir. A sea turtle patrol on Hilton Island, South Carolina, came across this extraordinarily rare two-headed loggerhead hatchling. The little turtle was trying to keep up with its siblings, who were making their way to the ocean. Though energetic and lively, it had a deformed shell, making movement difficult. The patrol affectionately named the twins Squirt and Crush and noted how incredibly rare this find was. The last one in the area happened 15 years ago. Turtle hatchlings already face tough odds in the wild, with only about 1 in 1,000 making it to adulthood. Without being discovered, Squirt and Crush's chance of survival would have been slim to none. Thankfully, these little twins now have a much better shot at life. Number 9. The two-headed cardinal. Two-headed birds are extremely rare, as animals with this mutation typically have little to no chance of surviving in the wild. So, when a two-headed bird was found in western Massachusetts, it was quite the discovery. To make it even more unusual, this bird didn't just have two heads, it had two beaks as well. April Britt from Northampton first noticed an unusual number of cardinals flying around her property. Curious about the activity, she went out to investigate and spotted a small bird with two heads perched on a lower branch. Although still young, the bird was clearly a few weeks old and already covered in juvenile feathers. The unique find even made local news, with April sharing her story in an interview. Unfortunately, experts say the bird isn't expected to live long. Due to its deformity, flying is impossible, making survival a major challenge for the poor little creature. Number 8. The first of its kind. While two-headed turtles and birds are rare yet somewhat known, this next discovery is truly one of a kind. In 2017, a Dutch fisherman casting his nets in the North Sea made an unusual catch. Along with the day's haul, he found a small, deformed creature, clearly an infant. Unfortunately, the animal was already deceased when it was pulled from the ocean. Unsure of the legality of keeping such a find, the fisherman threw it back into the sea, but not before snapping a few photos. When experts examined these photos, they concluded that the fisherman had discovered a baby two-headed harbor porpoise. According to Erwin Compange of the Natural History Museum in Rotterdam, conjoined twins in whales and dolphins are incredibly rare. He's aware of only 9 other documented cases worldwide. Number 7. Lucky the calf. Lucky, a two-faced calf, was born on a farm in Kentucky owned by Stan and Brandy McCubbin. In the 7 years they'd been running their farm, the McCubbins had never seen anything quite like her. Technically, Lucky didn't have two heads but rather two faces, complete with 2 mouths, 2 noses, and 4 eyes. However, Lucky seemed to have only one brain, as whenever the McCubbins tried to feed one mouth, the other would move in unison. This made her case of polycephaly even rarer. A veterinary team from the University of Illinois became interested in Lucky and offered to perform an operation that could prolong her life. The McCubbins raised $1,200 for the procedure. Sadly, just 1 week before the scheduled operation, Lucky stopped eating and passed away. She lived for 108 days, making her the longest surviving calf born with two faces, the previous record being only about 40 days. Number 6. The goat from Kazakhstan. From one type of livestock to another. Our next story takes us all the way to a small farm in Kazakhstan, where a very unique baby goat was born. This kid was perfectly healthy except for one small detail: it had two faces. Like Lucky the calf, this goat had two faces on one head, and it seemed to be thriving. In fact, a viral video circulated online, showing the little goat actively suckling from its mother without any issues. Though livestock born with such mutations rarely live to maturity, there was real hope for this kid. Sadly, like many of the other stories on our list, this one also has a heartbreaking ending. Initially, the mother allowed the kid to nurse. But after a while, she became frightened, refusing to let it near her and even trying to run away. Despite this, the farmer decided not to separate them. Then, one night, the mother accidentally trampled the kid in her attempt to escape. It was a very sad ending, one that robbed us of the chance to see this amazing, unusual animal grow to adulthood. Rest in peace, Cody. Rest in peace. Number 5. The two-headed dragon. Dragons may be creatures of myth, and as far as we know, no one has unearthed actual evidence of their existence, let alone a two-headed one. A double-headed dragon would fit right into a fantasy novel or video game. And while we're not talking about a real dragon here, it turns out that a two-headed dragon does exist. It's alive, well, and belongs to a man with a very unique entry in the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest collection of two-headed animals. Oddly specific, but impressive. Todd Ray, a Grammy-winning record producer, is an avid collector of two-headed creatures, and his two-headed bearded dragons are the crown jewels of his collection. And yes, you heard that right, dragons, plural. In 2010, he acquired his first two-headed bearded dragon, Lefty and Poncho, and just 2 years later, he added a second pair named Jekyll and Hyde. The names fit perfectly. Jekyll is more mellow, while Hyde has a bit more spunk. Owning two specimens of two-headed bearded dragons might sound like plenty, but for Ray, it's just the start. He's also the proud owner of the only known three-headed turtle. As fascinating as that sounds, it didn't make this list, sticking with two heads only. 3 heads would definitely be a crowd. Number 4. Lambs, and more lambs. Lambs seem to be among the most common animals with polycephaly. A quick search reveals numerous cases. In 2017, a two-headed lamb was born in New South Wales, Australia. Its birth surprised the farmer, as the lamb was delivered hind legs first. During the birth, the lamb's leg broke while the farmer tried to pull it out, but thankfully, it recovered fully. However, it's unclear if this lamb ever reached maturity. Earlier, in 2008, another two-headed lamb was born at a refugee camp in the West Bank, where farmers in the camp even considered it a holy sign. Two-headed lambs also became a staple in sideshows and traveling carnivals during their heyday, and the USPT Barnum's famous traveling circus was known for exhibiting such oddities, often with exaggerated and sensational stories attached. 3. Two-headed little pigs. In Luzhou, Sichuan, China, a farmer named Zhang Gaian was both shocked and thrilled to find that one of his prized sows had given birth to a litter of healthy piglets, including one very special little pig. This unique piglet didn't exactly have 2 heads. Instead, it was born with 2 faces joined on a single head, complete with 2 mouths, 2 snouts, and 3 eyes. Unsurprisingly, it quickly became a local sensation in the small town. Zhang, who had been raising the sow for 3 years, explained that he fed all his animals ragweed and hadn't given the mother anything unusual. Though he received an offer of 300 yuan for the piglet, he turned it down, as his son had grown attached and wanted to keep it as a beloved pet. Interestingly, 2-faced piglets seem to pop up every now and then in China. In 2015, another 2-headed piglet was found abandoned in front of a Buddhist temple in Tianjin, while one more was born in Chongqing just a few months before that. And now, for today's best pig, let's take a look at something you'd rather not encounter, even with just 1 head. Number 2. Bears and snakes. Today's best picture features 2 animals, both with 2 heads, and let's just say they'd be pretty terrifying to run into in the wild. But only one of them is actually real. Take a guess. If you're thinking the bear is real, you might want to get your eyes checked. That bear is clearly a manipulated image. In fact, there have never been any documented cases of two-headed bears. Besides, animals with two heads, a condition known as polycephaly, rarely survive to adulthood, so encountering a fully grown two-headed bear is strictly in the realm of fiction. Now, two-headed snakes? That's a different story entirely. There have been many documented sightings of these unusual creatures worldwide, and collectors like Todd Ray even have some in their collections. The picture you're looking at shows a two-headed albino melon snake that's been circulating online for years. Experts have examined it and confirmed it's the real deal. So, to recap, two-headed snakes? Real. Two-headed bears? Not so much. And before we wrap things up, here's a quick challenge. If you can hit the like and subscribe buttons within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Try it out. It really works. Number 1. Cuteness comes in pairs. There are millions of cat photos and videos on the internet, and it sometimes feels like the internet's true purpose might just be to spread these adorable images far and wide. And let's be honest, while some dog people, spider people, lizard people, and maybe even people might disagree, cats are incredibly cute. And every day, more and more people seem to fall under their charm. So, it's no surprise that this particular kitten's video went viral in no time. Especially when you consider that she has a rather unusual and endearing condition. Meet Betty B, a kitten born in 2017 to a house cat in Eastern Cape, South Africa. She was one of 3 kittens in her litter, but Betty B had something unique about her. She was born with 2 faces. Betty B's extra face made it difficult for her to nurse, and she was at risk of starving without help. Fortunately, a kind-hearted rescuer stepped in to bottle feed her. For a while, Betty B seemed to be thriving. But sadly, like so many others with her condition, her life was cut short. She passed away after just 16 days. If you could choose any two-headed animal as a pet, which would it be? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're curious for more videos about the strange and wonderful, click on any of the options on the screen. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.